Good morning, everybody, the whole world. I, I wonder if anyone is ever going to see this. But anyway, I still am going to do this and keep doing all of this simply because, I want to be able to say on my deathbed that at least I said it in public. Not my fault if nothing will happen. Um, Difficult to say what would be. I wanted to start having some sort of I don't know, some sort of video blog, something, from the start of the year, and didn't happen. I'd rather be somewhere else than YouTube one, since I'm here. But lots of things, what to cover. I hope I start with more important with the most important topics. Firstly, one needs to say about the global tragedy that is unfolding in Tasmania, um, where a World Heritage site is burning. I have no idea because there haven't been easy reports. I hope the bushfires are out by now, but an actual how to put it, Jurassic forest or something, an actual forest site that has existed for you know long before man and so on, is burning because of wildfires, and it's all about climate change, and suddenly they don't get their rainy period, and then they get some uh, exceptional heat, and suddenly forests and ecosystems that are not capable, that have never evolved. They've never evolved a system to deal with fire. They don't recreate themselves, so to speak. They don't adapt. They just disappear. I hope something is left, and I just did. I want to know what World Heritage means. I mean, does it mean that you just get information that this World Heritage and it's destroyed? I mean, shouldn't there be hundreds of helicopters faking a rainy season every year so that this irreplaceable thing that is supposed to be World Heritage, is actually preserved, so that the heritage would actually mean something, that it actually would be inherited by somebody. And again, if there isn't money, if there aren't any funds to protect World Heritage sites, well, don't you think that we have a problem with this world? I don't know. Let's say a World Heritage tax. I understand Michael Bloomberg has been thinking of entering the presidential race in the US. I mean, they say that his fortune is something like 100 billion or something. Okay, World Heritage tax, 99 billions off from Michael Bloomberg. He obviously hasn't got anything useful to do with them, and he's still left with 1 billion. Okay, he can live with that, comfortably for the rest of his life. 99 billions. And let's save a World Heritage site, and you're going to have lots of billionaires. What is it's something like, the stats are at the moment that something like 65 people have more wealth than something like 4 billion poorest in the world. And more than, have 65 people have more wealth than half of the rest of the world. I mean, something really should be done. then uh, well, we'll continue about this. I'll continue some other time, but let's still say that the reformists, I hear, have had a landslide victory in Iran, in Tehran. 30 or Tehran seats in Iranian election all went to reformists. Way to go, Iran. Go. Then Jonathan Bucks, the Express, they report that a rare type of giraffe in Congo has been hunted to the brink of extinction. Only 38 of the species left in a reserve the size of Northern Ireland. To all those poachers, and again to the entire world that has made it possible for some people to be so desperate, and for these poachers continuously to exist. But then my main subject today, which is refugees. Now, what on earth? What can one do about the refugees? You know, now we have a huge crisis, a refugee crisis, but we've had them before, and you know, they, in a way, they get larger. The UK and the US, they're, you know, mostly them, they're billionaire class again, with the, you know, support of their governments. I have absolutely no idea. To the people in UK and US, why do you vote these bastards in? I don't understand. And to people in the US, I hope you're gonna vote for Bernie Sanders. But because of you know, interference, decades of interference for oil money and gun money, you have you know, you have all these crises in the Middle East, in Africa, whenever. I can't see that you know, that this present true crisis, refugee crisis, is going to be the last one, and it is absolutely and totally and completely horrific. The sights, what it looks like, people at Dunkirk of all places, the refugees hoping to get to the UK. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying. But, you know, people dying, you know, countless, there, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you are from, it doesn't matter whether you believe in God or Jehovah or Allah. It doesn't matter who you are, what is your culture, what is your religion, what is your creed, what is your whatever. We are all humans first, and that has been scientifically proven. And the most important thing in any situation is that nobody gets killed and nobody gets hurt. And that's the thing, that's the first thing that everybody should be concentrating on. And it is, there is no question. The Paris terror attacks are an excellent example of complete social failure by, you know, I get, if I remember correctly, it's was it from Belgium or Holland, where the terrorists, you know, where they have been mistreated as you know, as refugees, you know, or infants of refugees. There's no question that we're not going to have trouble later on, because at the moment Europe, or before this wave of refugees, Europe was incapable of taking care of the previous refugees it had, or most of its own original citizens. So of course it's, we're going to have a disaster later on, no question. But we have a disaster going on at the moment. People are literally dying trying to get to Europe. They're suffering on awful refugee camps. When people get to Europe, they are mistreated. They are incredibly abused. A huge amount of children gone missing, and I'm pretty sure that there isn't an able-bodied young man who has managed to get to Europe who is not labor-wise totally and utterly exploited. So we have a humanitarian crisis of gargantuan proportions, and this is going to happen again and again and again if something really drastic is not going to be done. And that's my point. That's something I want to say. I know this isn't going, no, but at least somebody has said something useful, all right? What you need is a refugee metropolis somewhere in the world, a huge area where a metropolis for tens of millions, if necessary, people is built, that has running water, electricity, and internet connection for everyone. And it has areas made out of these, you could say, crate homes. They are pretty much, they look like the kind of crates that, stuff is moved around in big ships that pollute the ocean around the world. These sort of crates, homes can be built. So you have enormous metropolis made out of crates that has an area for every country in the world and is able to hold all the refugees, absolutely all, and much more, for an indefinite period of time. And absolutely all the resources of the world are concentrated there. What all the organizations trying to help refugees and what the United Nations own, what they then, all that they need to do is, when you have this metropolis, all they have to do is to try and get the refugees wherever in the world these refugees are, to get them to that place. And then they can live there until the conditions in their home countries improves and they can return home. They can live happily and securely for that while. And you can have, offices there for all the countries in the world where if somebody actually wants to change citizenship and wants to go to some other country, that it can be done in it can be it can be processed in a civilized manner. And nobody gets killed, hurt, or abused. Yeah, it takes a huge amount, but again, you have to understand this. We are having a total disaster. This is what disaster looks like. This is what it is, and it's not going to get any easier. So the place, again, please give me your ideas of the placement of this huge refugee metropolis. But I personally would say Western Sahara. It is hotly contested by Morocco and I guess tribes who want it to be independent. So there's one big crisis where all the world could actually now go and try and resolve that. And then after that, Western Sahara is probably the most sparsely populated area in the entire world. You can have it there. It's a pretty good placement considering. And absolutely every refugee in the history of the world is going to be shipped there and live happily until whatever disaster there is solved. My time is up. Again, I don't expect anything to follow from this, but at least I've said it.